What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 25 of To the Show We Go, featuring Ed Hand and myself, Andrew Parker. Today's episode, we have a former Pittsburgh Pirate and Miami Marlin, Jeff Locke, and also a New Hampshire Ian. Did I say that right, Jeff?
Sure.
I just moved to New Hampshire, so you're going to have to let that one slide.
Yeah.
Well, fellow New Hampshire native, Jeff Locke. And Jeff, I want to get your thoughts, I guess, before we dive into some other things. But were you watching the playoffs in the World Series and everything? And what were your thoughts on it?
Of course. I mean, it's obviously a pretty special time of the year. Unfortunately, with the Red Sox not being in it, because yes, I'm still always going to be a big Red Sox fan, but having no Red Sox in the playoffs kind of bums me out. But I kind of started tapering off towards the end of the year, when things were getting kind of ugly, and then picked it right back up for the playoffs again. So it was cool, man. I was happy. Didn't really expect the D-backs to be there, but they had such a gritty team, fun to watch, very talented. And yeah, it's like always sucks when baseball ends, because then you're just sitting in the garage in a jacket, cold, and you're stuck watching football. So not a terrible thing, but
but it's just not the same. And this is always the longest 4 or 5 months, whatever it is, until spring training starts again.
Yep.
But just for people that aren't familiar with your work and your career, can you just tell us a little bit about your journey to the major leagues?
Yeah, sure. So born here in North Conway, New Hampshire.
Well-known pitching factory, North Conway, New Hampshire.
Yeah, just like we're just breeding them out here. So, no, I just grew up here at North Conway. Pretty much a local kid. Always been a local kid. Stayed close to home. Went on to have a successful high school career, and then found myself being drafted by the Braves in 2006, where I played a few seasons. Before I was then traded to Pittsburgh with myself, Gorkys Hernandez, Charlie Morton.
Red Sox great, Gorkys Hernandez.
I love him, yeah. And and that's pretty much where I found my groove playing at the professional level, or I should say at that major league level anyway. Successful in the minor leagues. I guess most people are to get to the major league. But I had most success in Pittsburgh, and then had some fun years there, and was a part of some special stuff, and helping bring a team to the playoffs, and just a pretty electric city. City I really wish could help get that baseball team back on track again. It's just a really electric city. I really love it as a sports city in general. I always felt like Pittsburgh was really blue collar, and being there and playing ball for the team there made me really feel kind of like at home. Like a lot of very similar people where I'm used to, being from and growing up around. So it was special there. So I really appreciated my time there.
Yeah, your breakout season was 2013, and you were, to say breakout season, it was a very, very good season. You made the All-Star team. What was that experience like when you got the call? Were you expecting it to happen that year?
No, not at all, because I had never had any success at that level before. I was having like baseball success, like on the field success. The number cruncher stuff wasn't going to play out in my favor at all. I mean, the statistics aren't typically of somebody that's coming into the All-Star break with, one of the best ERAs, and it just didn't line up that way. But I didn't think it was ever really going to be a thing until it happened. It's definitely not something I was thinking about, but being on such a competitive Pittsburgh team at that time, we were just so focused on just trying to get that team to the next level where, the 20 years of poor seasons and almost like wasted talent being there at times, never getting a chance to really shine. And that was pretty much always been the focus. And then the All-Star game's a nice little accolade and whatnot. But that team was always going to be the focus. And just always been a team guy. So I was, pretty excited we had a good year.
that team in 13, I was kind of just looking back at the roster. There was some studs on that team.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So
McCutcheon was the MVP that year.
Yeah, and then there was a guy named Garrett Cole that was there.
Yeah, how about that, huh?
I
So
think Grilly was an all-star that year as well.
Billy was an all-star. Melanson,
Yeah. So,
Pedro Alvarez.
so what was it like? Did that fuel you, I guess, like throughout that season of being like, we have some guys on this team? Like when you went into that locker room every day, was it like, okay, like these guys are here to play? McCutcheon obviously playing at MVP levels. Like, was that kind of fueling you a little bit?
Absolutely. I mean, just being on the field with some of these guys. I'm like a baseball fan before I was ever like the player, and I like still idolize guys I was playing with. It was like, wow, like just watching McCutcheon for an entire season or however many seasons I got to watch him, just do it on a daily basis is like just unbelievable. Not the biggest guy, close to the fastest guy, phenomenal, just all talented everywhere, really special to be a part of those teams. But yeah, I mean, the pitching staff was really good. I mean, I was a part of it. Francisco Liriano was part of it, AJ Burnett. And I know there's other people in there too that I'm not naming for some. Garrett, of course, towards the end and stuff. But yeah, I mean, just so much fun and hand the ball off to the next guy. I felt like for a couple months there where, and the weather's starting to change and us being competitive in it, and just some really special times. Definitely stuff that you'll never forget.
So you grew up a Sox fan though. And you're close to the same age as me. So you must have some memories of the 2003-2004 season.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah.
So I've got two questions about that whole period. 2003, the Aaron Boone home run. Where were you when that happened? Because I think it's one of those moments that
I'll sit on the floor in my living room. I'll sit on the floor in my living room with a high school friend of mine, and I was just like, "What?" Like, all right, well, I don't know. Just like didn't really feel like it was gonna happen. Like it was like, oh man, we're right there. I don't know, and then. Of course, the following season and stuff. And you remember that exactly, like the time, the date, where you were. Like my mom and dad and I, like just hugging and crying. And I'm like, I don't even know. I'm definitely not going to school tomorrow or nothing like that. So yeah, I mean, that was really special time. And especially being such a big baseball kid, and loving them and never having to see like the heartbreaks that my family had to see and stuff like that. So, but very fortunate. Very fortunate.
Yeah. Then did you go to the parade in 2004?
I did not go to the parade. I certainly regret that. But I did not go to the parade. It's something that, one of those things where you saw tons of pictures and, just something you're like, man, I really wish I was there. But I don't get to the city very much. I don't think I've been to Fenway Park. I never pitched at Fenway Park or played at Fenway Park. So that was one of the, I think, 3 stadiums I never pitched at. And, the AL East was, I never pitched at Yankee Stadium. I never pitched in Toronto. And I actually never pitched in Camden Yards. So, yeah, I didn't get the East down, but Fenway Park, I don't know, pretty special.
Except Tampa, the worst of the East.
Tampa, yeah, then in Tampa, that was like a field house. So, but it was, I definitely don't take any of it for granted.
What was your favorite stadium to pitch in? Because I mean, Three Rivers is pretty exceptional.
Yeah, absolutely. Like pitching in Pittsburgh was like the best. I mean, not to mention like I like the dimensions of it. It was like pitcher friendly and just the backdrop and not having like actual stadium up top in center field and being able to see it. It just lit up so nice at night and. Just a beautiful place, beautiful weather when it's not raining or snowing, I guess you could say. So, but I really enjoyed pitching in St. Louis.
Did you enjoy? Oh,
sorry, no, St. Louis. I really liked a lot of tradition there, and opening day stuff there with like Clydesdales coming around the field, and just they really do it up nice, and that was a very fun place to pitch.
Great city too for just Great baseball city. I remember I was just coincidentally staying there the day that Chris Carpenter announced his retirement.
Yeah.
And I remember this is entirely coincidental. I was staying right across the street from Busch Garden at the Westin there. And it was packed. It was freezing out in the middle of November, and it was like everybody came out for it just to like go. I don't even know if it was just the gift shop or what was happening there, but I've never seen anything like it. That was cool.
Yeah, he was something special.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny you guys are talking about St. Louis here because I grew up there, and I guess I kind of I don't know if I just kind of like was used to it. Like I saw the Clydesdales going around like a few times. Like, I don't know. I guess I just
Dalmatians on the fire trucks, you know.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I
thought it was normal, I guess. I don't know. I thought every other town did it, but I guess not. They do it well over there though. They do.
Sure.
So I want to talk a little bit about New Hampshire. I gotta show some love to your home state, not mine, but I'm borrowing it from you right now.
Sure.
I saw something. So you've been called. So I need to know, what is the Redstone Rocket?
Yeah. So just a local newspaper, writer here in town, Lloyd Jones, been covering me since I was just a young kid, since like my first no hitter in Little League, so pretty much since I was 7, 8 years old, all the way up through high school and stuff, and my professional career. I live in like a little small area. I grew up in a really small little stretch of road, and it was Redstone. It's not very big. It's just pretty much a straight road. It's not really like on a map. Might be now, but it wasn't Conway and it wasn't North Conway. It was just this little stretch of road, and that's pretty much really it. I mean, we called it Redstone. I threw hard, and that's just how it came about. And but yeah, I love that Redstone still gets a little love.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was kind of like, interesting, right?
Right.
I didn't know what they meant because I was like, you don't have red hair, so I know that it's not like you had like a red anything, right? So didn't know what it was.
Okay.
Sorry. Oh, I was gonna follow up on that because
keep going with the New Hampshire questions.
Yes, I had another New Hampshire thing, and I was kind of looking through at some guys, especially while you were playing in the MLB. There was a few others. There's Sam Fold, obviously, whose name's been circled around a little bit before Breslow got the job, but Sam Fold,
most
Chris Carpenter as well.
Sure.
What was it like playing high school baseball in New Hampshire?
Cold early, and we were fortunate. Most of these other states and warmer states and all that, southern parts of the country get to play so many games, and New Hampshire could be limited to like 10 games to 14 games. Some schools play as little as 8 games, and I was really fortunate because my head coach, Bob Burns, he always scheduled 20 games a year. We're playing 20. We're putting 20 on the schedule. If we play 18, it's a win. We're just playing as many games as we can. So I was very fortunate. We played a lot of games. Won a lot of games at school. Never won a state championship or anything like that. Played in the state championship, but never won. Very successful teams, but just could never get the big one. So, but cold, rainy, short, no fences anywhere, just like pasture. Some pasture ball, but it was, it all molds you,
Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, we, ever since we moved up here, we enjoy it, man. It's, we moved from Cambridge to New Hampshire, so it was like a huge difference, but we prefer up here 10 times better than down there. So it's been nice being up here in New Hampshire. But did you so whenever you got to the majors, was it kind of like a thing of like, like I said, I think I only saw there was only 2 other guys from the state of New Hampshire active when you were active. I think Carpenter may have finished up right before, but was it something where it was just like, I have a whole state behind me when I'm up here and I got to represent for my guys back home?
I really always never took it for granted, like being from New Hampshire and being able to play in the major leagues, and kind of like everyone up here skis, and they're like, we have Olympians up here, and in multiple outfits of sports, and baseball is not really like a big thing up here, so I was always really proud to represent the state in that way. And it's even a lot different from Southern New Hampshire up to where I'm actually at. It's really different. And but yeah, Chris Carpenter, quick story on him. So I used to go to the New Hampshire baseball dinner that was held in Manchester every single used to be in the fall, then it went to the winter, but used to go every year, and it was hosted by CHAD, which is the Children's Hospitals at Dartmouth. And Chris Carpenter was always behind that, really big. And this is really like, he kind of always headlined this event. I don't even know if they still do it anymore because I kind of fell out of the loop. But, he's always just giving back so much. And, as a young kid, I was really young going to this. And he had just been drafted by Toronto, I think. And, he was such a big deal. And going to this thing and like getting a chance to meet him and like having him sign a ball. Then years down the road, being drafted myself and being invited as a guest at this dinner, and then getting to share like experiences playing ball. And, I'd been with him for a few years at this dinner before I'd ever played in the major leagues. And I was just like, I got a few text messages from him as we got to know each other more in 2013 when I was pitching well. And, I think one of the earlier games of the year I had beaten the Cardinals, and he wasn't on. I don't know if he was on the active roster at the time or if he was hurt. I can't quite remember. But, as we started to pick up steam, momentum, we're playing really big games against the Cardinals all the time. And I was obviously like really proud of myself for doing really well, but also like, I thought it was cool that Chris Carpenter got to watch me do it, because I always thought he was just the coolest guy. Right. And it wasn't until we played the Cardinals in the playoffs that I had seen him and he was like taking a few ground balls at third base, and I hadn't seen him like all season to talk to, and I like wanted to go up and talk to him, and he definitely didn't really act like he really wanted to talk to me. And that's when I was like, all right, this baseball thing is real. Like, it's time to play ball. We'll talk another time, but it's not going to be on the field right now before a playoff game. I'll tell you that. And I really like respected that, and I've always thought the world of him, and he always took good care of me. And, definitely a baseball guy I'll always have a spot for.
I was going to add, I got one more before you hop it in here. So you were talking about facing off against the Cards a lot, and especially on those Carpenter-led teams were insane. And that team in 2013 obviously went on to play the Red Sox in the World Series. Was that your least favorite? I know you said you liked playing at Busch and everything, but sure, with how good that team was, were you like, oh my gosh, I'm lined up against these guys again?
Yeah, they're very, very talented. I mean, I'd have to look at the roster over again now. I don't look at all that stuff that much anymore, but I'd have to look it over again. But like Matt Carpenter was a stud, and young, and Yachty and Matt Holliday, and there's like the list goes on for the guys they had. And Shelby Miller was pitching really well for them at the time too. And like, just really talented team. And, but yeah, I liked pitching against the Reds a little bit more than the Cardinals at that time, or the Brewers a little bit more at the time than them. But, all the less, it was so much fun. Yeah. Like I said, never take it for granted. I had a blast.
Who was your favorite player growing up? Did you have a pitcher that you modeled your game after at all?
Oh, no, I did not. I always just thought Manny Ramirez was the coolest guy in the world. I still do. I've just always been the Manny fan. He could do a lot of things wrong, and I'd always support Manny. I just really have always been a Manny guy. Just really like silhouetted swing. Just, I could just see it with his dreads and just a silhouette of him and just hitting and just hands up and just, he's just was Manny, and he was just so important to that time of the Red Sox and what they had done. And, really special with him and Ortiz. And I've always just thought the world of Manny too. So not everyone feels that way, but he's got my vote.
I think if you grew up around when we did in Boston and the New England area, Manny definitely. I think Manny being Manny, and it's fine. You know, he's.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever have to pitch to him?
I did not. I was fortunate enough to meet him when Eusebius Rojas was the bullpen coach for the Pirates during my tenure there, and he was the bullpen coach. Hopefully, I'm not too wrong on this, but in 03 and 04 with the Red Sox, and Manny was coaching, had a small role, I believe, with the Cubs when I was with the Pirates, and he was like a hitting helper, coachish guy, but like only at home. And that pitching bullpen coach called him over one day in the outfield, and I was like, oh my god, I can't, no way, and yeah, he came over and introduced me to him, and pretty special, really special. I had a short little quick chat with him and just went on my way, but pretty cool, really cool to meet Manny.
Did you, because you've mentioned this a few times, that there were a few moments where the fan in you sort of snuck out. Was it ever a struggle to kind of compartmentalize the base, like the competitor, the professional athlete, and the fan of baseball?
I'll say just like the competitiveness of baseball, like would always just trump anything else. Like anytime you had a chance to play against them, it's like a quick second of, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, Angels are coming in and Pujols and Trout are going to be here. And like, but, really want to beat those guys, like that was always the best. And the only time I feel like I've ever like had to just do something was at the photo day thing at the All-Star game when the NL was coming off the field. That was back when it was cool and everybody had their own jerseys on, and you didn't all just look the same. And Prince Fielder was like, with the Tigers at the time, but I had known him in Milwaukee just from playing against him. And he was walking to the bleachers now to take his photo with David Ortiz. And I was like, oh my God, like this is way out of character, but like, I got to go over there, and Prince is my in, like he's my in. So I just like went over and said hi to Prince and like gave him a hug, and then introduced myself to David Ortiz. And like, he was the coolest, most genuine, nicest guy. Like, sometimes they say don't meet your heroes, but this was not the case. Like, he was just the most stand-up guy I'd ever met. And, just to quickly elaborate on that, just to go the extra mile on him, my mom became ill like 5-6 years ago. Well, she passed away 5 years ago, but at this time, a couple of my teammates knew that my mom was sick and that we were all big Red Sox fans. And it was Edison Volquez at the time playing with, who knew David Ortiz really well. And he had told him that my mom was ill, and he had remembered meeting me, at the All-Star game. This is when the Red Sox came to play us, I believe in 2014 and at the end of the year. And he had like heard about that. I knew nothing about it, but he like signed a bunch of stuff for my mom. Like just followed up on some stuff, and the very following spring, which was just so kind to him, but the very following spring, the Red Sox came to play us in Bradenton, and this is so unlike, a guy like Ortiz to travel on a trip like that, like on the road. And I was just out there shagging BP before the game, and he walked out, and we like locked eyes, and he came right over to me, lifted me up like I was just like a tiny kid, And the first thing he asked me was how my mom was doing. And this was, a year later. We hadn't never spoke since then, stuff like that. And I just thought it was like just one of those times where you're like, man, there's a really good human in there. He's not just like the poster hanging on your wall, growing up. He's really a great guy. So I'll always have so much respect for him.
That's incredible. A year later, and
first thing he said, how's your mom doing? And I will never forget that, just really, really special, really special guy.
I've always lived at that motto though. You said is like never meet your heroes because you're going to be let down. But like,
yeah, absolutely.
That right there, man, gives you some hope. So
Yeah, I know. That's why I could like never meet Brady now, because like I hit such a home run with David Ortiz that's only going to be the worst thing ever. So I'm just staying in the background.
Yeah, the bar's way up there, and you're like, man, I really don't want to ruin it, you know.
I don't know. Maybe Tom Brady will pick you up over his head. Say, "What's up? What's up, Jeff?"
I'm a lot bigger than I used to be when I was playing ball. I'm in the garage watching football, dude. You know, that's what I like to do now. Well, hang out. I got a family. Play a competitive men's softball. So, yeah, that's my new venture. So,
how was the transition from being a professional ball player to just, like not being a ball player? How did you transition to that?
Well, I think you hear about it more. I haven't played since 2017, so it's been some time, and I think you hear about this stuff more in the day and age with every single day there's more media and there's more people saying things. And I feel like it was really hard for a couple of years, like really tough to kind of find out what the hell do I do now? I don't want to go get a job. I don't have to go do that. Maybe I just want to hang out with my wife for a while, and maybe and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted to do. I helped a little bit with some coaching and stuff. I didn't want to go play. I didn't want to play baseball anymore. I just had a good little decent run at it, had some fun, helped be a part of some cool things, but I just kind of wanted to be away from the game. I didn't watch baseball for 2 or 3 years when I got done playing. I would pick up in the playoffs, no different than I do in hockey, but I would pick it up in the playoffs and be like, oh, cool. Who's that guy? But it was kind of tough for a couple of years, and I think you're starting to see athletes talk about it more than they ever have, where they kind of got to find that purpose, I can't just play baseball forever, or athletes deal with it every single day when they hang them up, and I think it was tough for a couple of years to kind of find out what I really want to do. Do I want to do anything? Am I mad at baseball because I'm not playing it anymore? Or did I leave because I felt like it was time? Or there's some questions you got to answer sometimes, I think. So, but I was like I said, I was fortunate and take nothing for granted. I was happy. I made some money to support my family and stuff. And other than that, like I said, I coached for a little bit, had some fun with the kids for a little bit, but kind of just hanging out, rooting for the Patriots, raising a family, so yeah.
Did you feel like you had reached your dream when you got to the majors?
You'd always heard the rumor in the minors that getting there was the easy part. If you ever had that chance to get there, then getting there was, the easy part. And I guess I had been there for a little while, and I was like, well, maybe I'm doing okay at this for a little bit. I don't have all the answers. I was always constantly trying to learn. I'm certainly happy that I played when I did. And I think I would have been better suited for the game before I actually played in it, in the sense of it's so analytical now. And I was always just such more when I was hitting C-ball, hit ball, this, I don't care what he's got. He's not better than me, and I'd always feel that way when I was pitching too. And, well, how come I don't care if he can hit, fastballs in? That's what I throw. So it's I can't just do everything I don't do all the time just to face 2 guys, and the game is so much like that now. And we're just little simulation guys that just go out there and, sell tickets and stuff. And, I really enjoy where the game's at now. I think the pitch clock and the addition of that was awesome, but you don't see it on the TV anymore, which is even better. And it's just it's cool, man. The game's sped up, but no one's really complained about it except for some much older people. And, I'm a purist when it comes to the game itself. And I'm not huge on the numbers thing. I like the eye test and I like stuff like that. And, I think all that stuff plays. I hate the oven mitt that people wear on their hands. That's cheating. You shouldn't be able to wear that just because you got hands. It's not fair. And plus, so much easier to steal bases now. But I do like where the game's at. And going back on the World Series, I know some people are the format or whatever. Who cares, man? You play all year. And it's just believe it or not, I bet you there's guys that were all right when they lost, because it's just a long year. It's just when it's over, you're just ready to go home and unplug for a little bit and get ready for the next one, you know. But yeah, special game, man, special game.
I was actually one of the people that were a little upset whenever the pitch clock and all that stuff. I wasn't upset about it, but I was kind of like, man, like I don't want the game to be ruined. Like but then I had to see it. Like once I actually got used to it, like once like spring training was over and then they got into regular season, it's like, wow, like it's really.
Well, that's how I felt about it too. I had to I was like, I don't like this idea. And my dad, who watches the Red Sox but wants them to lose every night. Like he just he doesn't like anybody else. He wants both teams to lose every night. You know, he's just he's pretty unique, man. But you know, I don't know. At first he was like, I don't like this. Why are the bases all bigger? And I'm like, you wouldn't even know they were bigger if I can tell you. So it is what it is. But I like the game, and you know, I think it's you know, it's better for everybody, I think, including fans, including, you know, East Coast, West Coast, people staying up, you know, it's good. So I like where it's at. But I like where the game's at.
Yeah, I actually forgot that the bases big. I completely forgot by June that the bases were made bigger. I was kind of like, oh wow, they did do that earlier in the year.
I mean, I haven't seen one because I haven't gone to any games or been on a field or anything like that. But I mean, if you just look on anywhere at Acuna's stats for the year, you can't tell me those are real. Those numbers are so amazing, and you're like, wow. And then you just look at I know these guys are all phenomenal players, so definitely not saying anything, but look at just Bobby Witt just sneaking in, you know, 60 stolen bases or whatever it was. I don't even know what it was, but those guys running rapid and all over the place. I mean, you got to be more than left-handed at this point to hold anybody on. Plus, you only get 2 throws, so it's you know. But like I said, I like where it's at. I can sit back now and watch awesome hitters hit and really enjoy it. Whereas I could do that so much before. So,
who is the most awesome hitter that you ever faced?
Well, I mean, I faced Pujols, you know, who has such a.
I don't mean statistically, objectively, they were the most awesome.
Yeah,
just the guy that you struggled the most with.
Anthony Rizzo, not even close. There's not even a second. There's Anthony Rizzo, 5, 6, 7, 8. He just plugs up the whole thing. Yeah, he's always just been a pain in my ass, and I really like him too. Just always been a pain in my ass, and I know it. He knows it. Had minor league success against him when he was with the Red Sox, and early success against him here and there. But you know, once he got on my page, I haven't seemed to get him off there. So I always really liked him. And as much as you hate people doing well off you in division, but yeah, great.
Conversely, was there any batters that were all-stars that you just had their number? You just always would get them out.
I did really well against Ryan Braun, you know, somebody like that where yeah, you'd have to look. I don't know. I mean, I played, you know, the guys in the division a lot. So Ryan Braun a lot. You know, Joey Votto, Jay Bruce, you know, Alfonso Soriano early with the Cubs. But yeah, nobody that I'm licking my chops. Everybody hitting looks really hard, and it's really hard. Sometimes when you're pitching, you're like, man, hitting doesn't look hard today for those guys. You know, I just suck, you know. But
did you like to hit when you back? Because that was before they put the universal DH.
I did not like to hit, and I did not like to hit not because anybody was like, oh, he throws too hard or he's too nasty. I didn't like to hit because you're a pitcher and you don't do it anymore. And there's a period of time between high school where everybody's the pitcher's in whatever he does is probably the best player most often than not. Probably the best hitter, and more often than not, especially where we live up here. My gosh. And you don't work on it because I was drafted by a National League team being the Braves. And I thought I would handle a bat all the time. I never touched one until I got traded and then got to Double-A with the Pirates, and then we were allowed to start hitting. And I was wondering why that was always the case. And all I understood all the time was they would hate for like a young guy, prospect or whatever, to be hit in low A somewhere, break his wrist, and he can't pitch for a year, lose the whole year of development. He's never like, you're so far from the big leagues at that point anyway. I don't think they really cared about hitting too much. So I always felt like pitchers didn't really have a place in it. I just like, come on. If you pitch a good game, you're going to face that 9 spot, 3 times at night, probably the pitcher twice. Like the National League strikeouts are always up, and I don't know. I always felt like just let someone in go hit that's good at it. Like that's what people want to see, I thought. But I like the strategic part. I like the bunt. I like to do my job. But I also hate getting yanked when there's guys on base and I'm about to get a win, or you're pitching a good game in the 6th and you're going to get to go back out, and all of a sudden 2nd and 3rd, 1 out, and you're like, see ya, you're out, 1-run game or something like that. So, I like the American League side of things where the guy can just say, here's the ball, take us as far as you can go. I've always really liked that.
You did have one double though. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do. I remember it was in Milwaukee. And that's about it. Yeah. I know I had like 15 hits or something like that. I know I hit a double. I always joke with people, like I was playing at JetBlue Park, like right when it was open, around the time it was open, we were facing Clay Buchholz, and we would just like mutually, teams would agree if they were going to let their pitcher hit. We would never hit early in camp, but later in camp, pitchers in the National League would hit in spring training. And I was facing Buchholz, and I had like hit a ball, like something off my fist, like over third base, like just inside. I don't know how to explain it, but it bounced and went out of play. And I'm always like telling people that I hit like a ground rule double at left field at Fenway Park, which no one's ever done. It's like people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I tell you, man, I hit a ground rule double at Mini Fenway, But yeah, I bounced out of play and I had to laugh. But yeah, don't really like to hit. I would just usually go up there and just be like, throw a 3 right down the middle. I'm good with it, Like trying to pitch here. I never really liked it unless you really have to really buckle down. But nah, not for me.
You're doing adult softball now, you said, right?
What's that now?
You're doing softball now, you were saying.
Yeah, I play.
Right?
Yeah, I play softball. I play like local softball, and then I play on some more competitive teams. We travel around a little bit, playing a couple national championships a year. Pretty fun. Like it's fun. Like I always kind of like laughed at it and thought it was a jokey type thing. I was like, I'll never play softball, and I went to some games and I was like, well, this could be kind of fun, Then I started, and I'm not talking like slow pitch where the ball's up there like 100 feet in the air, like this is like fast. This isn't like windmill like women, but it's like as high as you can go, bowling motion type softball, modified it's called. And like it's pretty competitive, man. It's teams with payrolls out there, man. It's wild.
Oh, wow. Are there other like former pros that are doing it?
Yeah, not guys that like I know, but they're guys that have like maybe been through drafted up to AA or something. Last year, this crazy enough, but like last year, the team that I was on at the Nationals in Pennsylvania was eliminated by the team that Danny Almonte was on.
Oh, wow. There's a blast from the past.
Danny Almonte and I were playing team on team against each other. And, yeah, good
That's
player.
wild.
He definitely doesn't look like he used to look anymore. But neither do I.
He's not 14. He's not a 14-year-old.
He's still, like he's not 14 anymore. But yeah, really good kid. Really good kid. And yeah, good softball player. Yeah.
Do you pitch for that, or do you play?
I don't. I play first base, or I'll play like some outfield spots, or just hit. But I haven't really tried to learn, and I'm also not interested. It's 46 feet, and dudes are smacking that thing, and it's a different game now. Like it ain't like I can just throw it overhand and blow it by someone. Like I'm throwing underhand, man.
Right,
so
it's different mechanics.
I'm just totally and I'm not going to go out there and dress myself up in armor. Like I'm going to play it the right way, or I'm not going to play it, and I'm not ready to go out there yet. Maybe like in some local leagues and stuff like that, where the age group is like 20 to 80, but I'm not going to be playing in no tournaments on the mound. That's anytime soon.
I actually have a question. One of my last questions. You've given us like 40 minutes of your time, so thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. No problem.
I have a question about your pitching. I guess more of like your mechanics back in the day. I was reading an article and it said that after you got traded to the Pirates, you had changed your pitching motion.
Yeah.
To where you faced, I think it said that you made a turn towards first base and you hadn't done that before.
Correct.
Can you kind of talk about that? Like what were you doing previously? And then whenever you got traded and how it kind of like sparked your career a little bit.
Sure. So in 2011 and 12, I played only in September with the team. And I was winless. I kept getting starts and don't even think I maybe had one game I could have came out of there with a win and didn't. And I never won a game until my 10th start in the major leagues. And not a lot of starters might get that opportunity or that many chances to go out there and pitch before they had any success. And I got a chance to play with Eric Bedard, and he had that fancy little motion where he turned himself away from the hitter and kind of came back. And really, and we felt like I was maybe showing the ball too much, hitters recognizing it too early out of hand. So, or seeing it too long. So we made some changes, and it wasn't necessarily because of him. It was like kind of Ted Lilly-esque as well. So we were like just trying to do something to kind of hide the ball. And I had a pretty decent balance, and like we work with some things. And it's kind of funny. People don't ask a lot of questions when you're having some success, right? You do all right, and they're like, "Wow, yeah, that's great." But like when you start to not do well, like, "Oh, he's got it turning like all the way back there. Maybe you should do something different." And that's so we kind of flirted with some other things over the years. But that was, when I started to have a lot of success early on in my career in the major leagues. We had a good turn. We mixed up our pitches well. I was also throwing to Russell Martin, who was phenomenal catcher, and really helped me a lot in my development. Catchers don't get nearly enough credit as they should, and especially good ones. And he was really instrumental in helping me become confident and trusting my stuff and just letting it rip and trusting him behind the plate, because I was never came up as much of a game caller. Didn't really have to throw many pitches in New Hampshire. So kind of just trusted Russell Martin for a little bit until he kind of taught me how to pitch with my own stuff, really, and so I was always grateful for that.
A couple of Canadian legends there, Bedard and Martin.
Yeah, right. That's it, right? Yeah.
So my last question for you, again, thank you so much for giving us all of this time. I think that it's always, and you've mentioned your parents a couple of times throughout this. When you got called up to the majors for the first time, what was that phone call like? And first, your reaction when they told you, but then what was the phone call between you and your parents like?
Oh, it was really special, man. It was, I was in Louisville, Kentucky. I was in AAA, just got called up for the last month of that season, and had been pitching really well, and was on a really competitive team. I believe we were in first place, and all the minor league teams in the Pirates are always really strong. And I think that's what helped kind of build what we had there for those couple of years. And but yeah, I got called in the office with Dean Trainer, my manager, and he had told me, season's over today for regular season, but you're getting out of here. And I was so happy. The competitor was never bummed, of course. Don't take me the wrong way, but just I had pitched really well all year. We were in position to go win a championship somewhere. I was really excited. Almost wanted to be can we finish here? And then I can go. But you're just he's shut up. It's time to go, And so, yeah, I got to go up there, debuted against the Marlins. And yeah, I mean, was Anibal Sanchez was the opposing pitcher.
Another Red Sox great, sort of.
Yeah. And I mean, back when they had Mike Stanton, so
back when he was still Mike.
Yeah, and he had tweaked his hammy the night before. I know, unbelievable. So
was Hanley on that team?
Who?
Hanley Ramirez? Or was he on the Dodgers at that point?
I don't remember. I don't think I don't know. I'm stupid for not knowing. I just remember Bonifacio was leading off.
Oh, he was so fast, Emilio Bonifacio.
They had Gabby Sanchez and I can't even remember everybody. They had John Buck catching, and they had really, just it's a good matchup for me. That's for sure. And but yeah, pretty special. Had my whole family there. We're not a bunch of travelers, so I'd have my whole family there, a couple friends. Pretty special time. And
Now, did your dad actually root for you, or did he just root for both teams?
My dad rooted for me and only me. But yeah, yeah, he's a great guy, man. He always, I always feel like so much of the success from the player goes to the parents and the family. And like, now that I have children myself, who aren't quite into sports yet because they're young, but how much sacrifice you're willing to always make for them and what you want to do for them and give them the life that you either had or weren't provided, or just, you always want to try to be the best parent. So I've always thought about that and in my own successes of having, a great mother and father and a couple sisters, and just always able to push you and want the best for you. And, it's dog eat dog world out there, man. So it's good to have people looking after you. And when you're young, always making the right decisions and, keeping your nose clean and always, doing the right thing. So I always attribute that to my parents.
Well, Jeff, you've given us a ton of your time, man, and we appreciate it fully. I thought this was an awesome conversation, and so thank you for hopping on. We truly appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me, and I'm sure we'll be chatting Red Sox here. Hey, Breslow's in. We got action, so I'm all about it.
Yes. Actually, before we go, that's actually a good question. Is now there's now a lefty running the Red Sox right now. Like, did that kind of excite you that it's like a
might get wild now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I wouldn't mind if someone from San Diego came over though and played for us. I'll tell you that.
I want Juan Soto so bad.
Yeah, and I don't
think it's going to happen. But
I don't even care if it was Tatis. I'd be the biggest. I'm the biggest fan in the world. Like he's my favorite player to watch right now is Tatis. I don't care about any other junk.
He's a freak athlete.
I think he's awesome. I think he's fun to watch. He has really adapted so obviously top tier to right field. He would do so great for us. I know that for sure. And just Titanic home runs over the monster would be the best all the time. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll take anybody at this point. So, you gotta have some help around Devers and gotta get some pitch in. And since I've been 4 years old, I've always heard people say you can never have enough pitching and you can really never have enough good pitching. That's for sure.
That's true. Yep.
We'll see what they do, but I really appreciate you guys having me. This was great. Like I said, I'm sure we'll chat. So
I was going to say right before I sign off here is I already am hearing another episode in the future, round 2 with Jeff Locke talking all Red Sox. So
yeah, we just do Red Sox.
Steam it out. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. Anytime, guys.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right, future episode.
I'm always around. Anytime you want to chat Red Sox, I'd love to dig into it.
Hell yeah.
Can't beat that, Ed. But if anybody's still listening, we appreciate it, and we'll see you for the next episode.